worse. 어제의 나보다 더 가끔은 kill you boy. 못되게 뭐라 해도 주댐 yeah 뜨겁던 처음처럼 그다지 안쓰래도 잔잔한 바람처럼 평온해. 시간의 흐름처럼 익숙해. 사소한 일상처럼 당연해. 넌 뭔 말인지 알지. It's just word like that. 더 설명 필요 없지. It's just word like that. 네 머릿속에 떠오른 말 right 그 말 주댐은 차이게 내 맘. It's just word like that. 극과 극반대 넌 볼수록 신기하다. 저 다른 행성에서 떨어진 건 아닐까. 아직도 이해 못해 솔직히. But I know different just a little bit. 이상한 취향일지 몰라도 난 그래서 더 네가 좋아. I'm thinking of it all the time. 잔잔한 바람처럼 평온해. 시간의 흐름처럼 익숙해. 사소한 일상처럼 당연해. 넌 뭔 말인지 알지. It's just word like that. 더 설명 필요 없지. It's just word like that. 네 머릿속에 떠오른 말 right 그 말 주댐은 차이게 내 맘. It's just word like that. It's just word like that. 아직도 이해 못해 솔직히. But I know different just a little bit. 이상한 취향일지 몰라도 난 그래서 더 네가 좋아. I'm thinking of it all the time.
Good evening and welcome back to the Dwarven Fortress of Keskalokil, where when we left things on Friday, we had just been visited by a quantity of goblins, and I asked them to hold on a bit while I experimented with my railway. But I didn't actually ask them to do anything at all. I just left them in the corner. And it turned out that the railway for disposing of goblin body parts successfully got a minecart up onto here and across the bridge, and it got picked up by the rollers and propelled up through an entire revolution of the system for lifting goblin things into the air, and then got hurled off in this direction and ended up down here. And now that I look at it, I'm going, hang on, how was that ever meant to work? Oh no, I'm just getting my left and right confused. So I think what happened was, it's my usual thing. I expect moving away from ground level to always be greater than. This is presumably on the basis that NetHack never goes above ground, so I never got to be confused by this. Well, it kind of does, but I've only been there once, and it's not entirely clear it's up.
Yes, that's well over. I certainly don't feel as if the elemental planes in NetHack are located above each other in a stack. That you go through portals rather than...
Yes, it's true. So yes.
Clearly in other dimensions.
So I have this. I just expect that I should press greater than to go further away from the ground. So, excuse me. I should fiddle my IRC client into being on the computer I want it to be on. Right. So yes. Let me stop blithering about why I think the keyboard layout is confusing. So what happens is, I think, is that at the speeds generated by normal maximum speed rollers like this one, if a minecart reaches the end of an upward ramp and there isn't a ceiling above it, it will take off. And thus, if there's a corner just afterwards, it will not follow that corner. And we've seen this before. This is the reason why where we have these ramps, whichever ones they are, these ones that are the exits from... Sorry, I'm just trying to remember what on earth this system does. Yes, the exits from the swimming pool, we had to make sure we had a floor above them, because otherwise the minecart would take off, crash into the wall and not go around the corner. And I think that's what's happened here. Oops, wrong direction again. This one was fine because there's this floor directly above, but this one, we reached there and there was sky directly above, and so the minecart left the track, didn't make it round this corner, and went whee off in this direction. The reason why I think why the previous corner wasn't a problem, this one, is because the corner itself is sloped, and so there isn't a convex vertical curve for the minecart to take off on. So, in order to fix this, we need to put a floor in up here, which, like, we may as well just construct all the way across here, and that will then, I think, hold it down. Then we'll need to go up another level where actually, no, we don't. We've already got a floor at the next level because it's holding the windmill up. So it's only at this level that we need to do anything. Let's schedule that, even though like we have other things to deal with in the form of goblins. So if we do that, and like, ideally we should build it out of wood, just because it's obviously right for the roller coaster or whatever it is to be built out of wood. But in the meantime, we need to make sure that drawbridge is raised. It is. Raise the other drawbridge so that the goblins don't try to attack along their own corpse disposal system. Turn off the... detach that minecart. Ooh. If we detach the minecart from that route, it won't... there might be some confusion given it's full of goblin parts. But maybe we can forbid the minecart, which will stop anyone trying to pick it up, while leaving it notionally attached to the route, so it can be brought back as soon as it's safe. So let's find the lever that operates the East River Rail Bridge and pull that with some urgency. Let's temporarily forbid that minecart. I mean, it is quite battered. It may not survive me doing that to it again. Most of the objects over here are forbidden anyway because people kept trying to do things with them. So we have a fairly standard-sized goblin army, it looks like. So we should probably call out what's left of our military. We do have the problem that we're still not getting immigrants, which is slightly surprising. I wonder if there's just nowhere for them to come from or something. That would be weird. And like, we're a very rich fortress. Well, fairly rich anyway. Cat has adopted a child. Excellent. Oh, you're fighting an albatross, right? Yes, okay, if you want. Llama has been slaughtered. A vile force of darkness has arrived. Blah, 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 blah. It's now summer. People are making masterpiece jugs and masterpiece meals, even though we have 24,000 food. Those are all mostly interruptions and sparring messages that tend to be so busy that it's not even worth clearing them. Right, okay, so I think we're ready to deal with the goblins, or rather, we've now done everything that needs immediately doing. So let's...
Are they just there to fight, or are they going to make a feeble attempt to recover an artifact?
They would, I think, be willing to try to recover an artifact if we ask them to. That will be what the petition is. Well, the petition is they want to come and meet us so that
So they can ask for an artifact, and you can do
then we'll have great difficulty delivering. I mean, we could give them a parley anyway. Let's find out what they want. Assuming my mare is, like, able to be found. The mare is currently making a wooden barrel, apparently. You could suggest that the mare shouldn't be making a wooden barrel, but... it will probably be good for his mental health to occasionally make things. What now? What? There was a note that said that the dwarf was battling the bone doctor. That the ghost was battling the bone doctor. And then the bone doctor was found dead. P.S. There appears to be a dead
presumably the ghost won.
something here. Well, let's dispose of that. Yes, that's kind of alarming. Why do we have oysters and mussels and so forth lying around in this fortress?
Because you're by the sea.
Yes, but they shouldn't be getting in.
We need dwarves to go out to get them because they like these things.
We are centred on it.
Things and whatnot.
I mean, someone will bury a dead dwarf, I suppose, but still. It would be nice if the dwarves would stop dying. It's most inconvenient because we don't seem to be getting any new ones.
Well, are you over your population cap?
Nope. The population cap is 100.
For a period of
We get messages now saying we have attracted no migrants. I think we mostly managed to refill the to install new cages in the cage traps, which will help with the goblins. What are you doing? You've decided to go and store an item in a bin for some reason. Quite what bin you're planning? Are you going to collect up other pieces of clothing? That didn't work. Yes, okay, hauling 2 tunics to put in a bin somewhere. Because apparently that's the kind of thing that dwarves do when goblins threaten. I could take my mare off their task of apparently making a wooden... Oh no, they're currently on pick up equipment task for some reason. What is it that you need? You look like you're reasonably well dressed. I mean, at least you're wearing a lot of things. They even look like a vaguely coherent set of things. Have you got any trousers? Yes, you've got some wild boar leather trousers. And now you're going to make lie. Look, I asked the goblins for a parley. I was kind of hoping you would get involved as the mayor.
Shan't.
And he's going to make a lie, which is what you need for a party.
I'm going to take that task off you in the hope that you'll do something more relevant. If I can. Remove worker. Now you're going to store an owned item. Well, that's okay. Like, at least that is a vaguely coherent thing to do. Why is there... Oh right, a load of rubbish has got stuck in this square. Probably because it got hurled up by the atom smasher. Right, everything in there is now marked to be thrown back down again. Please, Mr. Mayor, go and ask the goblins what they want. This is why it's easier just not to ask. All right, you've got your old trousers, which you're now putting away. I see. Just in case you run out of trousers and need to wear the old ones again.
Going to the goblins, he must be prepared to protest in the strongest possible trousers.
Yes, yes. Now you're doing a processed plant job. Okay, I think whatever's going on with your diplomacy, it isn't working, and we're just going to have to wait for the goblins to get annoyed.
Well, it's buying time.
But yes, but it's buying time in which my armies are hanging around being bored, complaining about the sunshine, probably then complaining about the rain.
I suppose you don't, because you don't do projectile weapons, you can't promote them by shooting an arrow across the river.
I mean,
It's an act of war.
obviously we should arrange to throw a minecart full of goblin body parts at them. It'd take too much construction to do that, unfortunately. I don't yet have a system for throwing minecarts full of goblin body parts at incoming goblins. So, well, I mean, things are still going on at least. I should probably dispose of some of these small parts of animal as well. At least some of them are definitely too small, or indeed the wrong kind of thing to ever be butcherable. But yes, the problem is that I now kind of have to spot the goblins getting bored, because they won't announce it. If the mayor, and I think it is the mayor's job to attend a parley. Possibly the mayor insists that since we're the capital, it should be the king's job, which would be fine if the king was still alive, or at least, I think we do have a king, but they're not here. And now the mayor's making soap. Like, really, attending the parley should be a high priority. Also, why is this military dwarf? Oh, right, you're stumbling obliviously. Well, then maybe we're... doomed. I mean, you're doomed. Just wondering why you were lying down or in some way not upright. Oh well, right, so we now have like a tedious bit until the goblins suddenly decide that we should be attacked again. Let's unforbid that minecart then, so that it can get put back in its correct place. That's an enormous cloud of miasma. Oh, is that because those objects there still haven't been disposed of? Yes. Look, they're really easy. They're right next to the rubbish dump. You just have to pick them up and throw them in. Also, we're getting like entire goblin skeletons lying around in our rubbish disposal system now, which is a pity. I think the funnel approach needs some work. I mean, I did have a reason for doing it like that, but it doesn't seem to, it seems to be showing an annoying tendency towards collecting bits of goblin in it, which maybe we should just have a system that pumps water in there to wash it occasionally. Might work. So, I don't really know what to do given our mayor is being so unhelpful. Sleeping. Probably I just shouldn't even attempt parleys in future. I'd previously not attempted to given up on trying to give them things they asked for because I couldn't actually work out a way to make that happen. We've successfully done it before. Like we have had goblin armies that turned up and successfully took away an artifact, but they haven't done it recently. That entire squad of dwarves is wandering off. All right, I think they're hunting ravens. Yes. All right, and now they finished hunting the ravens and are going back. Well, now the the goblins are being pelted with cherry blossom,
I mean, very Akami, but
or at least the trees around them are dropping cherry blossom on them. The rest of the trees are also dropping cherry. Well, the cherry trees are dropping cherry blossom. Just most of them are not dropping it on the goblins. Someone seems to be fighting an albatross here. Possibly successfully. Yeah, I think an albatross is quite a scary thing to be fighting. I think it might even be a giant albatross.
I mean, albatrosses are quite giant to start with, so
Yes.
particularly obviously scaled up as. I mean, given how much bigger a giant Kia is than a normal Kia.
Yeah. The agitated giant albatross bites the doctor in the left upper arm, tearing the muscle. An artery has been opened by the attack. Right, yes, we're going to want to get you to a hospital, ideally.
The doctor, I assume,
Not the giant albatross.
Yes.
Right, someone has picked up the injured doctor and is hauling them off to the hospital. Good. I was attacked, you will know my ferocity. But she's also content being near a waterfall and feels gratitude after being rescued. So that's good. And she has now been deposited in a bed in the hospital so that she can be repaired, which is all very well, but the mayor is now eating and not helping with this parley. And what, maybe it's like a terribly low priority task. And so, I mean, we do seem to see some rather rigid prioritisation, like no one was willing to fill up this, on which subject, since we haven't yet, this minecart, because they were, because they apparently had more important things to do. So possibly going and talking to the goblins is something that the mayor keeps putting off because because they insist there are more important things that they ought to be working on. So meanwhile, like, we don't actually have any good reason, I mean, apart from the fact that there's a horse in it, not to be running the swimming pool again. So possibly I should like start refilling it, hope that the horse works out how to get out, just as a thing to do while we're waiting. It has occurred to me that I do have a slight design flaw here, in that now that the bridge is open here, I think if someone did try to start pushing that minecart, they would just push it into the river, which would not be very helpful, because then we'd have to get it out of the river again. Possibly I should like have some kind of interlocking here, I think. Don't know. Oh, the beak dogs are moving. Right. I think that might well mean that the goblins are preparing to attack. So let's grab my useful dwarves and advance them a little bit. Yeah, that looks like mobilisation, doesn't it? The goblins have got bored. Possibly. Can't remember if beak dogs can jump across the... Okay, that beak dog is terrified, apparently. Which is, like, probably for the best, yes. The beak dogs are getting scared and running away. Not all of them. Here comes one, which has just ended up in a cage. Right. Some of the beak dogs are brave. And then suddenly a rain of arrows arrives, and for some reason a dwarf has already crossed the river and is now busy falling into it, because that's what my dwarves do. That's why we train them to swim, he says, quickly checking that they can. Not that there's much to be done about it if they can't. It's a bit harder to tell what's going on when the goblins are attacking through an enormous stockpile full of dead goblins. So far the river appears to have an awful lot more dwarves in it than goblins, which is kind of unfortunate. On the other hand, none of the goblins appear to have got across the river yet, so that might be good. I think we've accidentally ended up engaging rather a lot of them on the wrong side of the river. Should we send the second batch of dwarves in to engage their rear? Yes, I think we should, because we've driven them back from the river slightly too far. So let's lower the drawbridge at the back end, wherever that is. I think we've got a lever that operates it. East River, South Bridge. Yeah, I don't think there's any. I'm just wondering why are you there? You ended up. Let's send that lot a new order that says station forwards a bit, in the hope that that will get them a bit closer to the goblins. There are quite a lot of goblins though, and you lot are really in the wrong place. I should have held you back for longer.
This lot down here to put the drawbridge down and do a flanking maneuver.
Yeah, that's the plan. Like, they're not very useful, but they should be good for that. The drawbridge will lower shortly when someone gets round to pulling the lever. Yes, it would be really nice if my dwarves could be more disciplined about holding position. When I say station here, I don't mean charge at anything that comes close to you. That kind of behaviour does not lead to happiness. Plan is that you're meant to stay back. Is someone like actually going to pull that lever? Someone is allegedly scheduled to pull it. A dwarven child is scheduled to pull it. The dwarven child in question is currently on the surface, but about to get to the. We'll get to the entrance to the fortress shortly. I don't think it makes any difference if I make it. Oh, I've already made it high priority. It was the highest priority job, and nonetheless someone is trekking in from a long distance away to pull the lever. Oh well. I mean, to be fair, so far the dwarves seem to be holding their own pretty well. But I would certainly like it if we could get someone to come across the river. Where's the child got to? Can't see them now. Oh, there they are. Trying to deal with getting round cat and lever pulled. So, well, that squad seem to have munched their way through most of the goblins now. So in 100, oh, I need to unpause, don't I? In 100 ticks time. No, I don't actually want you to try to cross the river yet. All right, I can't do half of the buttons for the station order. No, 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 no. The topology has changed. You can cross the river at the bridge now.
Controversial. It sounds far too sensible for a dwarf to do anything remotely like that.
You somehow remembered the layout of the world, and therefore you're going to go the long way round. Station here.
This is exactly the opposite of the bug that StarCraft 1 has with dragoons, where the first dragoon gets halfway up a ramp and the 11 crowding behind it go, oh, the ramp is blocked, we must march all the way around the map instead.
I mean, it'll probably be fine. Usually I would worry that they might meet a goblin crossing while passing through the delta, but I'm not sure there are many goblins left. Oh, as the siege, yeah, the siege indicator's vanished. Right, the amphibious squads, despite crossing the river too early, such that none of the goblins got to drown, somehow still managed to munch their way through all of the goblins with only one dwarf casualty. And do so before anyone else could get there.
Hooray for improved goblin handling techniques.
Apparently, I mean, it wasn't meant to turn out like that.
I'll go with or something. Right.
Also, where's that minecart gone? There was a minecart here just a moment ago. All right, it's hidden underneath two more bits of goblin. Right. Okay, so how's building that platform up here going? One more square to go before it'll work properly. We should raise the drawbridge again in case another bunch of goblins turns up. We'll lower the other drawbridge once it's likely to be useful. We should probably drain some of these goblin bits out of here, but let's save that until we've got some of them back where they belong anyway. What are you doing? Don't stand there. Really, that's going to be a very entertaining place to be shortly. Right, now you're running away from a giant albatross. That's okay. Don't know why you're running away from the giant albatross. Maybe it's scary. Can I go military? It's kind of awkward. Don't have a way to just say you should attack something.
I'm just going to walk to the post box. You to come with me.
People keep walking onto this bridge. Oh, good. No one got hurled into the air by the bridge. I mean, that's probably good, isn't it? Yes, but it tends to cause quite bad injuries when they land. Yes, you're allowed to name your battle axe if you want to. I mean, it'll cause the goblins to come and try to ask us to give it to them, but then... Oh, it's possible that's got suspended because someone saw a goblin while trying to build it. No? Okay, good. Just like wondering what... I think the swordmaster may be ill simply from being out in the sunshine. Oh, there's some actual attacks by the goblin, causing some bruising. Well, if that's a typical experience of one of my military dwarves, that's probably good. Can we find the dwarf who died? Possibly we can by looking at, like, does this list in order of death? No, it probably lists in order of birth, which is singular, or rather, in order of kind of creation, which is going to be singularly unhelpful for finding someone who just died. I can't immediately see a dead dwarf there. It was a swordmaster, I can remember that much. I think it was a swordmaster. I could be wrong. An awful lot of goblins got killed. Quite alarming, really. Yeah, that one looks fine. Oh well. Let us keep on with like doing things. It'll help. So, is someone working on constructing that bridge? Good. There aren't phenomenal numbers of people trying to store things, so maybe the I forgot what I was going to say. Maybe we'll actually manage to do some useful things rather than spending all of our time trying to store the remains of the goblins, because there is nowhere to store them at the moment. We do have... Oh, there's a dead dwarf who needs to be buried. Not much to be done about that if people aren't going to do it, though. So how did you end up in the hospital then, hey?
The usual way by being near a dwarf.
No, they were a dwarf.
Yeah, but...
It's by being near a goblin that I think is the problem. I mean, you seem to have been doing so all right up to this point. I think our militia captain might be quite solidly built. All right, yes, you've got some injuries from someone slashing at you in your left hand with their sword, and while your gauntlet stopped them cutting you, you did nonetheless get clouted firmly in the hand. and that, yeah, tore a ligament and a tendon in your left wrist. And thereafter, since you are apparently left-handed, you dropped your spear and started punching goblins instead. Quite effectively. And then biting them and hitting them with your shield and generally being pretty effective for someone whose spear arm is non-functional. Indeed, really being quite effective. Yes, okay, well done. So are you currently hauling someone? I'm not sure. You are notionally doing a recover wounded job, so presumably you've... Yes, okay, I think there are in fact two of you on that square. Just somehow you're both standing up, which I didn't think was meant to be possible. So here's our recovered dwarf. What did you suffer from? Other than goblins. So you were still at least armed at the point when the siege finished. You got bruised by being shot with a crossbow bolt. Another bruise there. Oh, right. Yeah, that looks nasty. Warhammer, because you're wearing an Iron Mail shirt, kind of went straight through it. That may mean you won't walk again, not sure. Because you do have a some injury to your lower spine. Yes, oh well. You can still be quite effective, and that will at least cause you not to rush across the river in search of goblins.
I missed something there in that medical log. There seems to be a ghosty wrestler.
It can happen. Hang on, let me look.
Yeah, there it is. It's something from the top.
Yes. Possibly that's their current status, I'm not sure. Or it is actually possible for ghosts to carry on doing work after they're dead. Some of it can even be useful. I'm slightly surprised that they can move dwarves around, mind. Like, yeah, it feels like a rather advanced activity, but yes, ghosts can keep working after they're dead.
It was 5 years ago, so maybe the ghost wasn't yet a ghost.
Yeah, I don't quite know whether that is kept up to date with their current state. Right, so have all the wounded been recovered now? Yes, good. I think so. Still be good if someone could... oh, the floor's been constructed. Right, so now we should be able to safely... Let's just check it really has. Right, so there's now a floor above that track corner. So if we relaunch... It's buried under here somewhere, yes. Allow that minecart to be pushed again. It should actually not get caught. Oh, don't allow it to be pushed again. We need to lower the drawbridge first. We should have made it a raising drawbridge so that it raised into a wall on the near side, shouldn't we?
Excellent plan. I mean, only the minor flaw that you built the drawbridge long before thinking of the railway.
No, the northern drawbridge was built for the railway. Oh, I think I've accidentally got the not closed the drain valve on the swimming pool, so it's currently draining as fast as it's filling.
Are you sure it was you who didn't do that, and not a ghost?
It's possible it was a ghost, but I think it was probably me. So anyway, yes, let's put the railway drawbridge back into place. Yes, that is marked for dumping, it just hasn't happened yet. Those similarly are all marked for dumping, they just haven't happened yet. Right, the drawbridge is now in the correct state, and the northern drawbridge is now in the correct state, so now we can unforbid the minecart again. And see if someone will come out and give it a shove. And then we really need to organise a system of throwing goblin cages into the sea. Because now that we've got cage traps, we do trap at least a few goblins. Though I don't think we got many this time, simply because the dwarves were so enthusiastic about crossing the river. I think I should hold them back over here until the goblins get to like here, if any do, and then start pushing them back in future. Because otherwise it just ends up being... everything ends up happening here. And while this is quite a good place to be killing goblins, because it means that they end up in the stockpile that they're meant to end up in, like, we don't have to move them. It would be better if they could drown. Is this dwarf coming to push the minecart, I wonder? We can hope, can't we? Looks like it. This is only going to be the first step of pushing the minecart, which is just to get it to the top of that ramp. And then someone has to come along and separately give it a second shove. Preferably not through that cat.
Curious to see in one of your random grid squares there dead rhubarbs.
Yes. Dwarf Fortress's approach to pluralisation is a bit random.
Yes, I mean, A trousers and
Mechanisms.
A mechanisms, yes, but each rhubarb being singular.
Right, someone should come along and push this. It is scheduled, I think. We just can't see them coming this time because we're looking at the wrong layer. But I do want to be watching this when it happens. Well, I suppose I can see if I can find the person who's coming to do it, if they are. See, now people go to meetings. Where's the... There should surely be a push track vehicle job somewhere here. It's even labelled as having a task associated with it, so it is just my inability to find it that's the problem. Apparently. Oh, there it is. It's all the way down there. Okay, no one is actually scheduled to push the vehicle now. So we may have to wait a bit for that. I mean, I would also like them to bury some dwarves. So I can't really complain if they're doing that instead, which they're not. Place item in tomb jobs, still not being done. Insofar as there are people doing things, they're storing things in bins and trying to reorganise their equipment. And, like, collapsed in the hospital because no one's diagnosing them. Why is no one diagnosing anyone in the hospital? Have we, like, accidentally run out of diagnosticians or something? So we have one... We've only got one official diagnostician in the hospital. Right, let's fix that.
You seem to have quite a low population since I don't know, a few months ago when it was 200 and then 100.
Yes, yes, it's meant... I'm a little bit worried at the way that we're not getting much immigration at the moment. That's a few more diagnosticians assigned, which I hope will improve matters. Right, that's better. Like, we only really need one legendary diagnostician to actually be doing things. You seem to think there isn't much to actually do in that, for that one. Just give him a crutch, he'll be fine. That's a bit more complicated. Whether we can fix your spine, I don't know. Right, that's the swimming pool is now filling up. Hopefully this horse will eventually realise that the swimming pool is not the right place to be. Let's unforbid that floor hatch so that the horse has an easy escape route when they decide that the swimming pool is not the place to be. Like, it won't get deep enough to drown them, but they might get run down by minecarts. On which subject? Anyone assigned to pushing that one yet? Yes, right, let's follow them. That waterfall is doing a good job there. What? You got distracted by dressing a wound? I mean, I think that's probably good. But I'm pretty sure you weren't doing that when I looked at the list a moment ago. Yeah, no one is now scheduled for pushing the vehicle because there are wounds to be dressed. someone else is scheduled to do it. Someone who's somewhat closer even. Still, the goblins did at least mostly die in a very convenient place. I think I may need to restrict traffic over the rail bridge a little harder, because here is someone who's about to cross it in a way that's going to be quite dangerous if it weren't for the fact that they're the person who's actually about to push the minecart. Right, so we are now watching the minecart rather than the dwarf. And that has now made it all the way up to the top without being launched into the air. Sorry, stray cat. So if you weren't watching that closely, the stray cat became backgrounded in cyan briefly, which means airborne after the arrival of the minecart, and then drifted slightly sideways, and I think is now plummeting. Yes. So I can't select the cat because it's not on the ground. Right, and there, large quantity of goblin parts falling into the rubbish, and a dead cat down here who has sadly not survived that fall. Okay, probably wouldn't have survived for much longer anyway, given its head was crushed by the minecart.
Stray cat slams into an obstacle. Is that obstacle by chance big, wide, round, and needs a round sounding neck?
Yes, it is indeed. Oh dear, I think that lot got caught by the raising atom smasher, so a bunch of goblin parts have now ended up scattered across the ground, or rather the sky. Anyway, so now I think someone has to come up. Actually, I don't think we have a job scheduled for this, do we? We should add one. So what we want to do is to add a stop here. Which is, I think, just push off east immediately always. Which I was hoping would cause the vehicle to want to be at this stop, but apparently no, it didn't get. It hasn't gone. Oh, the vehicle's actually at a stop. That's unfortunate. So someone's probably now going to trek out here and carry that minecart back, which isn't entirely helpful. But still, that more or less worked. But I do wish they would bury the dead with slightly more alacrity. I mean, bury our dead rather than bury the goblin dead. The goblin dead seem to be a higher priority, which is annoying. We should turn the water off in there fairly soon. There's the pump control. That's the drain control. Don't operate that one. We'll see where that leaves us. I kind of don't want to enable more tidying up tasks until the until our dwarven dead have been buried, because it's kind of annoying where they are at the moment. I'm now thinking we seem to be able to put things in stockpiles more efficiently than we can put things in tombs. Should we, like, not assign tombs to dwarves until their corpse has been stockpiled, simply to get it out of the way? Feels like a kind of messy approach to the problem, though. It does seem to be a bit of a prioritisation issue here. What is that you're carrying then? You're carrying, oh that's interesting, you are actually carrying a dwarf corpse somewhere. It's unclear precisely where because you're going so slowly. No, that's fine, you are actually only carrying that one dwarf corpse. Slightly weird that you're trying to store it in a stockpile. Going in corpse stockpile 67, which is this one. I mean, okay, so that one is actually being put in a stockpile and not a tomb. Does that mean we've accidentally filled all of the tombs? No. Plenty of unoccupied tombs still. Well, some unoccupied tombs anyway. Surprisingly few actually, but still, there are enough. I mean, that's kind of good because that's probably what I want to happen with the corpses, as I said, but this one lying around in the middle of the hospital is apparently not so. How are you feeling now? You're still somewhat infected and you have a bunch more repairs needed, but you need some diagnosis first. They've sorted out, well, they've mostly just cleaned you actually. You need surgery. Well, let's just check that we have a surgeon assigned to the hospital then, hey? Yeah, we have plenty of surgeons assigned. Well, at least 3. 3 seems slightly too few. Let's assign another one. I don't know. There. Someone is bringing a crutch for someone. There should presumably be another. All right, there is a surgery task, but no one is currently undertaking it. Right. So we should probably, if that still doesn't get picked up. All right, someone is now taking that on. Good. Master mechanic and a legendary surgeon. Excellent.
Just make sure you pick up the right tool at any given time.
Yes.
Do not attempt to mend your Land Rover with a scalpel or your dwarf with a wrench.
Still no migrants. Bring me migrants. Not like my dwarves are having babies either.
Is there some incredibly complicated thing that is rule that used to determine how many migrants the fortress attracts?
I think part of it is how quickly dwarves are dying. It's true. So compound fracture of lower spine repaired. Well done. I mean, by a legendary surgeon, there's a good chance it worked. Lower spine still needs surgery though, and sutures and dressing. So, do we have a task for that now? Can't see it. Oh well. Maybe it'll be scheduled shortly. Oh, there's a human merchant who's toppling things in my fortress. We have a human merchant who is throwing a tantrum. Which is a nuisance because they've knocked over my kitchen. So beforehand we had somewhere in this space a kitchen and a still. We do have 3 stills, which is possibly excessive, given that. I mean, we only have 9,000 booze. Booze is not actually something we're stupidly over endowed with in the way that food is. So it's probably better to keep brewing any fruit and such like that we get into booze. I'll make them out of porcelain bricks because that makes them valuable, which might cheer things up. Fighting with the animals, stop it. Right, that minecart has now been collected at least, and possibly is even where we want it to be. No. Wonder where it is. Probably there's someone doing a place track vehicle job right now. No. So it should be around somewhere. It's not on that square. There's a small amount of armour there. And no one seems to be moving it. Okay, let's have a look through our minecart stocks then and see if we can find the lost minecart. Minecarts, millstones. Oh, tools probably, aren't they? So the minecart in question is a heavily battered maple minecart, I think. I'm going to have to check now. Heavily battered cherry wood minecart. It's just inaccessible from first stop. Where's it got to? I don't actually know which one of them it is. There's one. Allegedly. Kind of awkward to know. That one's forbidden. Okay, let's unforbid that one in case. No, but surely it can't be the forbidden one. Reforbid it. It's not either of those. Well, let's look at the other heavily battered cherry wood minecart. Oh, that one's in the air somewhere. It's not there. Oh, there. What? Somehow ended up in a tree. Right. Well, that's probably not going to be recovered anytime soon. So let's just assign a different minecart to the Necrogobopolis railway, on the grounds that the one that we were using has got lost. So we'll need to get a new one. Don't know why it's in a tree. Mark a few more odd bits of animal for disposal. I suspect many of those are too small to be butchered, but right, so here comes someone hauling a dead dwarf to put in a stockpile, which might then cause the dead dwarf to actually get buried. Who knows? Meanwhile, how's your surgery going? You've been evaluated again. Now your lower spine just needs sutures and dressings, apparently. And then we hope it'll heal.
The previous evaluation that it needed surgery was not because it needed surgery, it was because that was the last evaluation. Since then it has had surgery.
Possibly, yes. I'm not quite sure. I don't think they need that much diagnosis, but
I see that they're faithfully simulating a complicated hospital system with no end of paperwork.
yes, yes. So, One problem, of course, is that we store our mine carts near the swimming pool, which is a perfectly sensible activity when the main use of mine carts was in the swimming pool. It's slightly less convenient when you're trying to use them to actually run a railway. Clearly, we should have like a track that goes over there in order to allow us to collect mine carts from the stockpile quickly. Why is there an agitated giant eagle in the catacombs?
Maybe it too couldn't work out whether the positive direction was up or down.
Yes. Well, let's pick a squad and have them kill that giant eagle before it causes any more trouble. It's moving quite fast. I mean, if it can get out onto the surface, I'll cancel the kill order. Right. Giant eagle disposed of. Because it didn't manage to make it out onto the surface. Let's just dump its foot. Right, I think our injured dwarves are all now out of hospital. Is someone... So what's going on with... That dead dwarf is not quite in the right place, which is intriguing. There are still 2 burial tasks pending. We have a push track vehicle job and a place track vehicle job pending. What vehicle are you going to push? Is it that one? Is that one full? Or does it just get pushed off? I suppose it gets pushed off occasionally anyway. All right, the minecart's there. Empty. Well, okay, you can do that, but we should change the rules so that you don't push off empty minecarts. Now the minecart is going to trundle along there. Empty. Park at the end. And then have to be lugged all the way back. No, it ought to get pushed back now, of course. So the person who's going to push it is currently down in the food cellars, so it'll be a little while. I think possibly we need to reorganise this entrance way so that dwarves don't end up spending so long walking back and forth along this corridor. Like, I'm sure it must be possible to organise things a bit more efficiently, preferably without making it too easy for everyone to sneak into our fortress. So let's see how this minecart comes back. It's just been pushed, so it's not going as fast as it would be if it were full. And I think I haven't finished all of the track anyway. And it might, I think it's raining, it might accelerate down this ramp rather. Whee! Sorry? No, it's raining in Dwarf Fortress. So that minecart, well, I mean, it's quite close to where it needs to be, and presumably now there's a place track vehicle job to put it in its actually correct location. So, well, I expected there would be. Yeah, it'll get moved eventually, I'm sure. So yes, it makes it down. Slightly odd that it ended up emerging diagonally. So what happened to it? Did it kind of launch itself off down here somewhere, I wonder? I think basically it descended so fast it derailed on the way down. But only in a slightly inconvenient way. Annoyingly, I can't like make those burial jobs higher priority like you can with a lot of jobs, because they're not quite associated with a place, I don't think. Someone is getting into a vicious fight with the giant blue jay. So, hello, Pink Beast. Just seeing what is happening there. I think the giant blue jay is coming off the worst in that fight now. Slightly curious as to why no one seems to be trying to put this minecart anywhere. It's like it has a destination now. Ah, there we are. Possibly. So this will now get the minecart back to where it should be when we can start refilling it. Except that you've got distracted again. Possibly by like some passing animal. So now the mare's doing the job. Having started from rather closer to, which is probably for the best. Since on IRC there is blithering about Robin, though probably not the relevant one, our Robin came to visit me while I was having breakfast a day or two ago and sat on the table. Right, so that minecart is now back where it belongs. We probably have more than enough objects there to refill it without needing to unforbid any yet, or re-enable the yes, there we are, or re-enable the stockpile. As soon as the dwarves feel like moving items into minecarts, they'll move those ones. Once that minecart is once that stockpile is somewhat reduced in the sheer number of bits of dead goblin in it, we might be able to allow like dead goblins to be stored again. Just wondering if there's a sensible way to organise getting minecarts in from this side where there is at least a small amount of dead goblinry, or whether we just shift them over to that. Like there's not that many of them over here. Let's do that. Let's not do that yet. Really like those burial jobs to be completed. They do tend to end up being terribly low priority anyway. We now have a slight surplus. Oh right, one reason why these aren't being built is that they got suspended. So we'd like to get the kitchen back so that we can start cooking those eggs. Though actually I think someone is busy storing them, so that's fine. Possibly we should like suspend some of our long-term automated jobs, because like we're still making soap, even though I'm sure we have far more soap than we can possibly use now. That's quite a lot of soap. And we don't need all of it. So possibly I should work out how to ideally temporarily stop the soap making pipeline. think this is the top end of it. Processing the rock nuts into things. So if we add if we add a condition that is never going to be satisfied to it, like amount of items is less than 10, then that will cause, that should then stall the entire soap making pipeline without my needing to dismantle any of it. Oh, another strange mood. Here's our doctor in a strange mood. It was decided that they need some shale, apparently. And she's hauling it back to the mechanics workshop. No, someone else is using the mechanics workshop. Still making everything out of shale though. Why are you complaining about the state of your clothes anyway? One of your shoes is worn. Both of your shoes are worn. Okay, do we have jobs for making shoes? Are they failing for some reason? A sock job. Shoes are probably made of leather at the leather works. We certainly don't have. Maybe we don't actually have a shoemaking process task thing organisation. So what do we conditionalise those on? Having the material and not having the item. So let's go for add a new task here. Is to make some shoes if apparently we do have enough spare shoes. There's no, apparently there is no excuse for wearing worn shoes. Just wondering if wear level is something we can have an effect on. We can use to judge things on. Possibly the problem is that all of our shoes are worn. And so what we actually need to do okay, there's something you're short of. Right, let's look at what you've got. You've got 2 items of stone. Must have... let's wait until we reach stone. Stone, logs, rock blocks, got plenty of those. Rough gems, cut gems, logs. We might actually be short of logs. Like I can see 1 log's there, but I think they're in use. Right, let's cut down some more trees then. Which ought to help with that. See, our animals give birth, just not any of our dwarves. So I hope those make ash and make lye and press liquid from paste and mill nuts and seeds to paste tasks will all stall now. I mean, okay, apparently not yet. Why is there a human corpse in this tree? So there appear to be 2 goblin skeletons that have managed to get hurled out of the waste disposal system and into a stockpile. Let's get them properly disposed of again, because they're just in the way there. Apparently dumping items is another thing that's relatively low priority compared to putting things in stockpiles. Though the number of items waiting to be stored in bins, etc. is quite small now. So there's a good chance we'll actually end up burying the 2 dead dwarves finally. Right, so that one has now jammed, which means that no one will be making any, we won't be getting any more rock nuts. So now the only problem is that we have rather more than 30 rock nuts. Almost all of our storage tasks are actually being done. Don't think this is actually because I've stopped the soap production line, simply because that doesn't have any that hasn't stopped yet and doesn't tie up that many people. Only 3 things still being stored in bins. Slightly alarmed by how full stockpile number 1 is. Possibly we need to dump some of the objects from it. We do have an awful lot of bags. Bags of plaster are useful, but there is a limit to how many of them we need. We also apparently have a lot of bags of nuts in there. I mean, we really shouldn't be storing the plaster anywhere other than the hospital. What's my make gypsum plaster job look like? Is it accidentally infinite? No. Probably. But I slightly wonder if that is... We have 111 units of gypsum plaster. Is that because there's like 90 of them in the hospital? Doesn't look like it because I can't see any of them in the hospital. Where is all my gypsum plaster? We can use my memory leak chasing technique of just pick one at random and see where it is. Okay, so that is in... Oh, right, it's in the maple chest as a building, not as an object. Yes, I see. So it's possible that those 20 gypsum plaster are actually the number of bags not in the hospital. And then there's like 91 in here. Doesn't seem to make sense when that's only set to 20 though. Slightly curious about how we've got so much plaster. Yay, finally we're getting to bury people. There's no longer a corpse lying around in the hospital. Might take a little longer for it to actually get buried, mind, but still it's a good start. So here we are following the dwarf being hauled off to be buried somewhere. There we are, properly placed in a tomb. The other one might take a little longer. But they are like in a reasonable place anyway. So I think we're mostly letting that happen once dwarves feel that placing items in, storing items in vehicles is a good next job. Maybe I should have, I don't know, arranged that we had a smaller farm for growing rock nuts so that we didn't get so many rock nuts. It is also possible that we don't need to save so many clothes. And could deal with things faster if we weren't doing that. And we've got too many animals. Maybe we should slaughter some more, but that means more more food. Oh, we have a bunch of geldable animals, of course. Let's not geld the armadillo and the ocelot. They're too interesting. Indeed, we should make sure that they are available as pets. I think probably if we're still working on getting their training into a decent state, let's not let them out for use as pets. Something else getting properly buried, it looks like. Oh, something that needs to be lugged from a distance, apparently. What are you bringing with you then? Oh, you're placing an item in a tomb. Good. Maybe you're actually the one that was just doing that. What is the item in question? It's a tooth, isn't it? Yes. Burying teeth should be a lower priority than burying the rotting bits of the corpse, really. Yeah, still no one's doing the store items in vehicle jobs. But like that and that are both part of the soap making pipeline that we can probably stop. We've probably got enough clay bricks, to be honest, but those are actually useful. Yeah, we need someone. We need people to start putting items in vehicles again. But I'm sure they'll get round to it eventually when they finish storing things, except that a lot of the things they're storing are things that only need storing because other jobs are still going on. Okay, we found a dead dog somewhere out here, along with apparently quite a lot of dead dingoes. Dead giant dingoes. Maybe we need more cage traps if creatures are going to come in over that bridge, for instance. And yes, people are still trying to herd our animals back into their pasture, which is like a time-consuming thing that doesn't actually gain us much if we're not really using the animals for anything. Was there an option we had for asking for more dwarves to come, actually? Now I think about it. Yes, it has a workers available or no workers available button. Looks like. But it has to be one of our outposts, it would seem, and then maybe we can ask people to come from there, except that they... Did I set up another outpost somewhere, or has it been taken back? Maybe I didn't. Looks like the only place where I get a thing telling me no workers available is the pits up there that we occupied a while ago. So that's not very helpful. Almost no storing of things going on now, which is nice. Still yet another place item in tomb job, but I mean, tanning hides is something you want to do early because otherwise they rot. Plus, like, we actually use tanned hides, so... Right, we're now felling a tree, which is, of course, critical for our dwarf in a strange mood. All being well, once that tree is felled, they will come and immediately come out and grab the logs from it. There we are. And here is our moody dwarf. Coming out to fetch some logs. That's just that rotting dog corpse, rotting eagle corpse there, which isn't actually marked for dumping. Let's mark it for dumping for all the good it will do. Because task priorities are all screwed up. Right, now everyone's trying to move wood, which is probably for the best. Oh, someone is doing store items in vehicles. Excellent. Not yet stored any mind, but I think that's someone, yes, dragging a horse off to be gelded. Not having very much fun because they're out in the sunshine. Is the farmer's workshop somewhere really inconvenient? Might take a while. But to be fair, gelding, it very rarely seems to be a rate limiting thing here. So the still got finished. The kitchen somehow got suspended. Possibly there's an item in the way. Item blocking sight, apparently. Alright, there's this forbidden barrel. Why it's forbidden, I have no idea. Let us unforbid it and see if that makes life any better. Right. Or horse, as I think, being gelded. Gelt, something like that. Finally, people are starting to fill that minecart with goblin bits again. I mean, possibly they only did 2 of them and then got distracted by moving wood into a stockpile. So there is quite a lot of wood to be moved, but like that's a reasonably easy task. Oh dear, another dog's been found dead and is now going to get... Oh, they're outside. Right, that's no problem. I mean, like, it would be nice if the dogs didn't die, but... And we'll mark them for dumping when someone gets around to it. so that's made us some logs. How is our moody dwarf getting on? They're not currently in their workshop, so that's probably for the best. Oh dear, we're out of empty cages. Right, well, we're going to need to do some work to get the goblins out of their cages, aren't we? That cage should probably be unforbidden so that it can be put somewhere more useful. Just quickly checking if there are any other cages there that want different handling. But that suggests that another forbidden peregrine cage, that yeah, we need to do something to get goblins out of cages or make more cages. And obviously the better approach is to get the goblins out of the cages. But that's going to involve a bit more engineering if we want the goblins not to be dangerous. Because, like, the goblins are still alive and annoyed. And indeed armed. So we probably need to build a mechanism for hurling them into the sea, which will sadly take their arms and armour with them, but whatever. So, yeah, it's only 5% full at the moment. Right, so there's a lot going on, but at least some of it is stuff that we actually want to happen, though rather a lot of it is currently moving bits of wood around. Oh yes, how are you doing? We're going off to pick up another item. Good. You did turn out to want an awful lot of logs, I remember. At least it's a child moving things into this stockpile, so. They're not someone who could be doing very many other things. Maybe I felled slightly too many trees there. Oh well. Yeah, we've lost another dog. Still too much wood to be moved. I think we also have a bunch of like it's harvesting going on that farm plot. I think that will stop because we'll run out of seeds eventually. Because essentially, if we don't process the plants we get from it, then they'll end up, then we'll not, then the plants will stay with their seeds in them, which means we can't plant them anymore. There's another horse in the swimming pool. What's going on? Maybe I should lock that whichever hatch it was that I unlocked, because I think it may be letting other creatures in. This horse likes swimming, apparently. There's still like a random dead animal, eagle, I think, somewhere down here, that is not getting properly disposed of. Can't find it now under all the miasma, mind. Oh, there we are. See, marked for dumping, has been marked for dumping since pretty much the moment it died. But the dwarves always find something more exciting to do. I presume, I mean, I suppose things are still consuming, like the soap job probably is still working because we still have oil, which, yeah. So the milling task, we still have more than 30 unrotten rock nuts. Indeed, we apparently have 108 rock nuts. So, like, the fact that we aren't processing them out of slightly tempted to just turn up all the numbers for those tasks until they stop. The limit is quite a long way up. Okay, my attempt at stopping this pipeline by stopping the input end of it doesn't seem to, looks like it won't work because there is so much stuff in the pipeline still. We do have a lye shortage. And that's probably, yeah, that's... If we just turn it down to amount of lye is less than 0, then we'll stop making lye. And that will stop our ability to make soap as well. And that might help to like free up some dwarves. Most of the wood has now been stockpiled, so those tasks are now out of the way. Right, our moody dwarf has reached the point of actually making the thing. Our armadillo is apparently getting into a fight with a with an agitated giant hamster. Or possibly has got into a fight with an agitated giant hamster. No, he's still fighting with an agitated giant hamster somewhere on this floor. Not sure where. That looks like a peacock that wants dumping before it rots. That is a corpse that should get dumped eventually. We're finding a lot of dead dogs, which is not very helpful. No one's storing items in vehicles anymore. Sigh. Well, it's midnight and I should probably stop doing this, even though nothing very exciting is going on, because basically the dwarves seem to be busy doing unproductive, or rather productive, but not very tidy things, like making soap. Because the soap pipeline ties up about 4 dwarves if it's running at full efficiency. And thus they're not tidying up the dead goblins. So I think rather we will have to leave this for tonight because it is getting late and I need to go to bed. So I will say good night to you all, and we will come back on Friday and try to organise things in such a way that things actually happen. Oh, you've just had an exciting message. A child has been found drowned in the sea. Who were you? Alath Igenrub Nib. You had just been in a fight. Right, the agitated giant hamster attacks the dwarven child, but she jumps away straight into the sea. Well, that was foolish of you. I'm going to quickly schedule construction of a memorial to you. Because otherwise we'll only remember that needs doing when you start haunting us. Right. Right, okay, that momentary bit of excitement out of the way. Now I'm going to attempt to go to bed, so I will say save to this timeline and good night.